As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis. Well, tonight is the State of the Union, and everyone is waiting with bated breath to see if Joe Biden actually follows his notes, or if he says audible things like the pause in brackets. If you saw his tweet on Twitter, everyone is, of course, using that as a template for some great memes. And people in my mentions on Twitter are suggesting that Republicans should show up holding white balloons. That would be awesome. Well, here to break it all down is my good friend Hogan Gidley, who, of course, served as the principal deputy press secretary under the Trump administration and also was the Trump 2020 campaign spokesperson as well. And he is also a good friend of now Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is the Republicans' pick for the rebuttal tonight. So we're going to break it all down right after this. Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903. So joining me now is Hogan Gidley. And Hogan, you're at an airport right now. I really appreciate you coming on. Been there, done that so many times. And, I think that we are professionals at this point at just doing the pop-up studio thing, literally anywhere. So really appreciate your time. And so
Jenna, I got to say, though, I thought Pothole Pete was going to fix all of these things. I'm watching these people delayed. I'm watching flights canceled. And I thought Buttigieg was all over this. I mean, after all, he was a mayor of a small town. You would think he'd be able to handle the entire travel system in this country, but guess not.
Well, and, Joe Biden just tweeted yesterday that he signed the workplace, women who are pregnant act or, something along those lines, that we're now allowing pregnant women to sit down on the job and actually take bathroom breaks. So that applies to Pete Buttigieg and his man, breastfeeding as well. And so I hope that this will get rectified now that Joe Biden has signed that important legislation on behalf of the Department of Transportation.
Well, I saw the administration had Pete Buttigieg out talking about the Chinese spy balloon, which makes no sense because he's not part of the Department of Defense. But whatever, I guess they were concerned that the balloon took too long to travel across the country. Maybe they could work out better flight patterns to give the Chinese better intel on our different bases all over this nation. So maybe that was the problem, but it makes no sense. We're all living in crazy town, whatever.
Yeah, well, I hope that you get to your connection and your destination tonight, especially in time for the State of the Union, because Joe Biden is poised to give the State of the Union tonight. And we're expecting this to, of course, be as divisive, as crazy, as difficult of a speech as he generally gives, even though he's promised unity. So what are you expecting?
Well, look, I think if history is any guide, you can expect him to demagogue, to demean people who disagree with him on policy. You can expect him to divide along racial rhetoric. You can expect him to really just go after those who, for whatever reason, refuse to agree with the fact that his policies are abject failures. He's going to say they're successes. We know they're all failures. I think he's also going to spend time trying to cram in some of those mistruths and half-truths and just flat-out lies about his record. So I'm really interested to see kind of what he says. Sadly, I think it's going to be some of the same old, rhetoric. I think he's going to have a couple of little lines in there to try and make people feel good, and then just spend the rest of the time tearing apart those who disagree with him. I will say, though, I'm interested to see how long he can go in this hour-plus speech, whatever, without making major gaffes, even though it's all scripted right out there in a teleprompter, even though he's been working on this for a long time now, because, in a 3-minute interview, he's got the questions in front of him, the answers in front of him in a teleprompter. He can't get through that. So I think we're all kind of holding our breath. And that's a sad place to be, because what you want from an American president is strength. Whether you agree with him or not, you want the rest of the world who's watching this to say, hey, you know what? I want our president to really have that level of competence, of understanding that the American people should come first. And just Joe Biden doesn't have that. So that's a sad place for us to be.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he also posted yesterday on Twitter that he was, drinking milk and eating cookies while he was prepping for the State of the Union. And I just thought, this is not a projection of strength at all. I mean, he's trying to be the coddling little grandpa that maybe is cute in a, very senile way, but that is not a world leader. And that's certainly not someone who can address the real problems that are facing Americans. I mean, I was in Whole Foods over the weekend, and some of the organic eggs were literally $12 a dozen. I'm not even kidding. And that kind of thing, when, you look at the regular American families that are depending on the government to secure and protect their rights and their ability to simply provide for their families, live in relative peace, and just go to work and do the everyday things. This is not the president that is capable of doing that, nor is his administration. So I hope that the response to this tonight is going to be pointing out his lies and not just listening to the mainstream media spin, which the mainstream media, as you and I know, does spin. So what do we expect from them?
Look, more of the same. Karine Jean-Pierre is the press secretary, but that entire room, but for a few people from Newsmax and Fox, are basically her deputies. They go out and say whatever she says. They don't question it. They don't try and get to the real truth. They don't call her out when she's obviously lying about things. That's a real problem. But as you know, the left controls all the major levers of power and influence in this country, and that includes colleges and universities, Hollywood, and of course, big tech and the mainstream media. So I expect tonight, whatever he says, you're going to see, fawning all over it as if he's some high-minded, intellectual, also some, as you point out, some pseudo grandpa who loves everybody and just wants everybody to get along, when his rhetoric is going to be quite the opposite. I think we can all know that's coming because we've seen it so many times before. I would expect nothing less, but I will wait to see in the morning and late into the night tonight how many of these television news hosts really put their opinions aside and just talk about the facts coming out of this. I also expect the fact checkers to probably take a nap during most of this, like Joe Biden probably will through half of it, because they don't want to be responsible for fact checking the inaccuracies going to come out of his mouth tonight. So there are going to be a lot of things I'm kind of poised to watch for. But sadly, I think we've seen this movie many times.
Yeah, and such a different treatment between what you and I anticipated the media would immediately do and attack with Donald Trump when he gave his State of the Union addresses, and the differences in how they treat Joe Biden automatically. So I think that the response here as well, coming from Governor Sarah Sanders from Arkansas, is incredibly important. And, you know her personally, you've known her family for a really long time. I think she was the perfect pick for this. Because she has some fiery rhetoric, but she's doing such a great job already in Arkansas, just like Ron DeSantis out of Florida. And so from your personal experience with her, working with her and her family for so long, what do you expect from her rebuttal today?
Yeah, and a quick history lesson. I did work in the communication shop for Governor Mike Huckabee. So I've known Sarah since she was 19. We've had a 20-plus year relationship at this point. I worked with her, obviously, as you mentioned, in the White House and in other projects throughout my career, and hers as well. Look, she is the perfect pick, as you said, the selection here to respond to the State of the Union. She's got a big opportunity, and I think she's gonna rise to meet that occasion. Look, I've been talking to her team about some of the excerpts and kind of getting loaded up to figure out exactly how she's going to address the nation. And I'll just tell you, a lot of the things she said in her inauguration speech, which I was blessed to be sitting there in Arkansas and hear, a lot of those same elements are going to be out throughout this speech tonight, talking about what she's come through, what she's been through as a woman, as a press secretary, but also as a governor, as you said, moving so quickly early on to do things like ban CRT in schools, banning words like Latinx, putting power back to the parents. That's something that she really has focused her campaign on and her governorship so far on as well. But she's going to outline a vision for the future and kind of compare and contrast Republican governance versus Democratic totalitarianism. How she's going to talk about Washington trying to encroach on the rest of the states, because now she's a governor. She's got to stand up against that. Remember, she's got the best of both worlds. She's now a governor, understands the state of Arkansas, but she was also in the federal government too. So she understood when the largesse of that behemoth of federal employees and the federal apparatus tried to come into states and take over. So she understands the players on both sides. So she's going to talk a little bit about that. I would expect some humor from Sarah, as is usual, but I'd also expect her to bring some serious heat. I think she's not going to back down. She's going to point out the differences between Joe Biden and his radical agenda versus those who would rather put policies in place to protect people's lives, to build futures, to make people's lives better, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed, something she knows quite well during her time in the administration, but also in her short time in Arkansas and watching her dad do it too. So she understands the right tone she needs to strike, and I bet she does it. I bet she knocks it out of the park tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, I still remember her interview with Benny Johnson when they literally had a flamethrower. That was one of my favorite things ever about her tenure as press secretary. That was such a great.
Tallahassee changes now. I told you, Buttigieg
wow.
is on it. He's got it. He's calling it.
There you go. He's probably calling into your gate right
now. That's no problem. I agree.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, he's listening to us complain, but yeah, and you were talking, Hogan, about the contrast between Republican governors and Democrat governors, and just the mindset that is so starkly different. I mean, growing up, and of course, I was born a couple of days before my mom went and voted for Ronald Reagan for the second time. So I'm a 1984 baby. And I loved that whole history, growing up and understanding like what the contrast was between conservatives and liberals. But it's gotten so much worse over the last even just decade and the 2 years of Joe Biden. But I think we're at a tipping point in America where it's not just about politics. I mean, parents are seeing this in culture. They're seeing this in their children's lives, in the education system. This isn't just Republican versus Democrat anymore. This is literally people fighting for their families. And so I do think that we're at a tipping point. What do you think that Joe Biden has to do tonight to even be remotely successful at not looking like a complete crazy progressive leftist, or does he even care?
I don't think he cares, because Joe Biden throughout his career has always been kind of in the middle of the Democrat Party. Whatever they are, that's where he likes to be. And we know where the Democrat Party is now, grabbing a hold of these communist, socialist, Marxist agenda items, the radical left, the Green New Deal, all these things, and he wants to be part of it. He likes to be right smack dab in the middle of that. So I don't really think he cares. But as we talked about at the beginning of the segment, the media is going to, dutifully clean up whatever Joe Biden messes up, and they're going to parrot the talking points. They're not going to give him any scrutiny whatsoever. And so he's going to get a lot of applause from those in that audience tonight that lean left, that are registered Democrats, that are representing districts that are wildly left. And I would imagine the right's probably going to sit on their hands to some degree. Understand, though, when Donald Trump used to give his State of the Union, we would kind of guffaw at the fact that when we would talk about, spending money on police departments, when we talk about safety and security in our country, we talk about, helping families, paid family leave and things like that, Democrats just sat on their hands. And then during Joe Biden's first State of the Union address, some of the same lines, some of the same themes, and Democrats jumped up and screamed and shouted, yay. It's like they wouldn't give us credit for doing the things that the American people want to have happen. I'm going to be interested, though, tonight in watching some dial tests afterwards. As you know, these focus groups are always kind of fascinating to people like you and me, where he takes it, because he has had a tendency to go really negative on half of the country, calling people all types of names. If you don't agree with his policy, you're somehow a horrible person, you're disgusting, and you're deplorable.
Well,
That's
all of those
exactly right.
things.
So I'm going to be interested to see how people perceive what he says, and I would imagine most people are going to be pretty upset by it.
Yeah, and I think that's why Sarah Sanders' rebuttal is so important, because she can bring some truth and some context and call him out almost in
the
real
contrast.
time.
The contrast is going to be stark.
Absolutely. And, I am just watching her trajectory in politics. I'm calling it now. I really think that she's going to be our first female president. And I think she has it in her, and I would love to see that.
I know she does.
So maybe you'll be at the White House.
I'm a little biased, but I think I agree with you too.
Good. Well, in just the last few minutes that I have with you, Hogan, let's also talk about Kevin McCarthy. So this will be his first State of the Union as Speaker of the House. Thoughts on how he's going to approach tonight, and will he or should he tear up Biden's speech like Nancy Pelosi
He should
did?
not tear up the speech, but I'm going to be interested to watch his body language and watch his facial expressions as Joe Biden says certain things. I'm going to be interested to see where the Speaker stands up, where the Speaker sits down, because look, I think it's going to be quite telling. Obviously, if Joe Biden's going down a road that Speaker McCarthy doesn't think the country should go down, he needs to stay seated. Look, he's the president of the United States. You want to give that office the respect it deserves, not like Nancy Pelosi, who tore up Donald Trump's speech, which, again, I think if I'm not mistaken, there's some type of violation of law there because that's a congressional record. You can't really alter those, but I'll let that go for now. Look, it's a very awkward position for someone to be in, that to sit behind someone who's going to be on camera for that length of time and not have some type of tell on your face. So I'm going to be interested to see how stoic Kevin McCarthy can be for the hour-plus time limit on this speech.
Yeah, and how stoic he wants to be. I mean, hopefully there are some things that he wants to project that he disagrees with, whether it's staying seated or otherwise. And this is what's so fascinating about the State of the Union, is that really from how it originated, that from time to time the president shall come and give the Congress the State of the Union. I mean, it was literally because we didn't have all of the media that we do now. But this is now just really a PR exercise that, even though it's constitutionally required, it's something that, we dissect in the media so closely. And so, these types of things are really out of the constitutional context, even though we follow through with them. And so the point of this, of course, is going to be inherently partisan and political. And, he doesn't really need to tell Congress anything that they don't know. But last question for you. What's your prediction on whether or not he will announce that he's running for president shortly after tonight? Probably won't in the speech.
Probably won't in the speech, but I think he absolutely will announce probably the next week or two. I think they're going to have a big to-do about it. A lot of people inside the Democrat Party don't want him to run. A lot of the American people don't want him to run. But you got to look at that bench. My goodness, we just talked about Pothole Pete, who can't get my plane to go to the right place. Kamala Harris, too. I mean, it's just a really sad situation they have on the left. We have so many rock stars like Sarah Sanders, like you mentioned, Mike Pompeo, Nikki Haley, others who are Tim Scott, who are looking to run for president. And, disagree with them, Ron DeSantis, disagree with them, not disagree with them, but they have bright futures because they have been so successful. The folks they have waiting in the wings on the left are so bad at so many different things, and Joe Biden's no better. So I think he's going to announce. I think he has the right to, but I think a lot of people on the left are going to be biting their lip kind of in disgust when he actually does it.
Yeah, which is such a sad place to be, as you mentioned. And all of the Republicans that you just listed off, I would take any of them, anytime, any place, any day over Joe Biden and the left, because they would all do a much better job, including our former boss, of course, President Trump, who has announced that he's running. And so, we have a much deeper bench, and we also have the better values and, the better way that we want to protect and preserve.
But real quickly, we used to point to Reagan, like you said, your mom, the second time she voted when you were born. We used to say, look at Reagan, all these policies, how successful we were. We don't have to go back that many years. Just go back 2. And we had record-setting success and record-setting time. That's what most people want to get back to. And Donald Trump brought us that. I know we can do it again if he were the nominee. So I think look for some contrast again between what Joe Biden's outlining for the country versus what Sarah Sanders is outlining for the country. And you're going to see one, it puts us on a trajectory for success, and one puts us in a more division, more rancor, more hatred, and of course policies that aren't successful either.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just 2 years ago, eggs and gas, $1.79 a gallon and a dozen. So, I mean, right there, we have promises made, promises kept, and hopefully we'll get back there with a Republican in 2024. But it's a long road ahead. So, Hogan Gidley, thanks so much for joining me, and I hope that you get to your destination tonight. We will probably see each other on Twitter tonight, I'm sure.
Probably so. Thanks, Jenna.
Thanks. Well, friends, you must start taking care of your liver now more than ever. Why? Well, because the latest data from the American Heart Association indicates that adults with fatty liver were 3.5 times more likely to have heart failure than those without. The American Liver Foundation says that 100 million Americans have fatty liver, which means many people are still at risk. We throw everything at our livers: cholesterol, alcohol, toxins, Tylenol, statins, cigarettes, you name it. That's why so many of us have a sluggish, fatty liver that makes us gain weight and lose energy. For decades now, your liver has helped you with over 500 key functions every day. So it's time to help your liver and give back. Here's the solution: Liver Health Formula, an all-natural supplement which contains 12 clinically proven biobotanicals that help recharge and protect your liver. Manufactured right here in the USA and approved by American doctors. You can try Liver Health Formula and receive 5 free gifts when you order today. First, you'll receive a free bottle of nano-powered omega-3 to keep your heart healthy. You will also get 4 free ebooks to support every aspect of your health. So try Liver Health Formula today by going to getliverhelp.com/Jenna and claim your 5 free bonus gifts. So that's getliverhelp.com/JENNA. Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook. You need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903. Experts have been warning that a food shortage could be coming even in the United States. They've been telling us this for months. John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation farmer, told Fox News that, quote, "We're going to see empty food shelves in the coming months. And this is why survival food is more important than ever." He's right. You need to create your stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food kits. This is not ordinary food. We're talking good for 25 years super survival food. This is hand-packed right in a family-owned facility here in the USA. The kits are compact, they're sturdy, they're water-resistant, and stack easily. But most importantly, they are survival food, and this is necessary as we have no idea what the next coming years may bring. So right now, you can go to 4patriots.com. That's the number 4patriots.com and use code Jenna to get 10% off your very first purchase. Included in this 3-month survival kit, you will get the year-long guarantee plus free shipping on orders over $97. They're called 4 Patriots because a portion of every sale is donated to charities who support our veterans and their families. Just go to 4patriots.com. That's the number 4patriots.com. Use promo code Jenna to get 10% off. That's 4patriots.com, promo code Jenna. Start building your stockpile today.